Tina Tillery, sitting up front here. And we do these meetings once a month, the first Monday of every month. So, come on in, Mike.
Sorry for that.
That's all right. So, you can plan that for your future. So we already know the June one, which I believe is gonna be June 3rd. Yeah, Monday, June 3rd. They're always at 6 o'clock. And only, I try and keep it to 1 hour. Yes, Bill?
Do we have anybody locked on for June?
Guest speaker? Yet? No. I know
People
you,
had asked about narcotics.
Yeah.
But I think the lead time, David, can narcotics make a month lead time?
Quite often, but I mean, the best time to always put in a request is now, whenever
Yeah.
now is.
Well, now is a month.
Yeah. But now is 2 weeks before, that's fine, or if now is 2 months before, that's good too. But if you don't put the request in, it's not likely they'll come.
Right.
Germs.
Well, it's, yeah, it does tend to be a pretty good draw,
okay.
you know.
All right, thanks
Y'all
for
looking
that
at somebody
reminder.
from the medical perspective on how to address substance use, or y'all just trying to?
I think, you know, the issue is, I know we're 2 or 3 houses, you know, on a couple of streets that are, you know, have issues.
We wouldn't want you to address that at a meeting.
Yeah,
We would prefer that you actually tell me as a sidebar, or call me, don't email, don't make it a public record, and don't talk about a dope dealer or an address at a public meeting, because there might be some retribution, and we will be happy to start a narcotics investigation simply based upon you letting me know about an address or whatever you know about it, but we don't wanna do that at a public meeting. I can't stress that strongly enough.
And David, is that the official, stance of the sheriff's department?
One more time.
Is that the official, is that
I
officially?
speak for the sheriff, yeah, that's what we've been, telling people for the last 15 and a half years anyway. And the reason is that we prioritize your safety, and the less people that know that you've turned in a drug dealer, the better. I'm the secretary of Gulf Coast Crime Stoppers as well, which is another great alternative to, tell us about a crime.
Right.
You wanna tell us about a drug dealer at Crime Stoppers? It's either 433-STOP or the P3 Tips app. But I can tell you, we do a television show there every week where we depict 20 different wanted subjects, but there's not been a week ever go by where we don't remind people that you shouldn't tell other people that you have turned somebody in. You shouldn't tell the subject that you turned in, you turned them in, and you shouldn't let anybody else know. So we just would rather you keep it between us, because we're not gonna tell anybody that you told us.
And I'm sorry, I didn't articulate that very well. I was getting at Crime Stoppers. So thank you for mentioning Crime Stoppers.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, is having the tips go through Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers is completely anonymous and has to be anonymous. If you slip up and tell us your name, we have to break contact with you. We can't know who you are in Crime Stoppers. But you can give tips directly to the sheriff's office too. You can do it anonymously. But drug dealers is the one thing we don't want you to talk about openly at a meeting. Just tell us as a sidebar or as a phone call.
Okay, hello, welcome. Well, let's try and stay on, topic here. We do have a guest speaker for tonight. You guys know who I am, you know who, Tina is. And again, just welcome everybody. It is my desire or intent that we try and grow Neighborhood Watch. I think it's better for all of us if we can grow Neighborhood Watch a little bit. So just do what you can. I say this every time. Invite your neighbors. I mean, where I live, I like both of my neighbors on either side of me. And they are very attentive to my property because I'm out of town a lot, visiting my dad in Georgia and so forth. So I like that. I think that's the whole intent of Neighborhood Watch, is that we're neighborly, whatever that means for you. And just kind of keep an eye on things. If something suspicious is happening, I would want to know. That's why I'm on a first name basis with all my neighbors that live around me, and I do the same. I look out for them. So hopefully, I would encourage you guys to do that. If you don't know your next door neighbors or across the street neighbors, I would just kind of get to know them. Okay. With that said, I try and make sure we have a guest speaker. at every meeting, on a topic. At the end of this meeting, I do have a question for you, Bill, and all of you about who our guest speaker should be for June coming up. But let's stay, with our current in May. And so, Michael Rhodes, I believe, let me make sure I get your title right, you're the Director of Parks and Recreation?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah, that's correct. Escambia County Parks and Recreation.
Escambia County Parks and Recreation. So, Michael is joining us tonight, and I usually slot out about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 minutes or something.
No,
I'll
that's fine.
Turn it over to you now.
I will, and thanks for having me.
Great.
And I do apologize in advance. I'm gonna try to be out of here to get to my son's school. He plays baseball at Catholic High School, and they're in a postseason game, and I drew the short straw and voluntold to come help prepare for their game Wednesday night for a cookout that between my wife and other people there, I've been asked to help. So anyway, some stuff going on, and what I'm gonna do is I wanna hit the last couple years of what we've done at Navy Point, some more recent than others. Then I want to talk about some of our routine maintenance that we have at the park. And then briefly talk about some general overall park rules and ordinances and kind of explain it in a few gray areas that I want to just kind of describe why they're in place, how they can be interpreted. First thing that I want to say, and I can say it with Mr. Craig here, kind of mentioning what he said as well. The Parks Department nor any maintenance department at the county, Parks, I'm here to represent Parks, we're not law enforcement. We cannot enforce ordinances, as you all probably know, okay? If somebody's doing something wrong in the park, be it, say if you witness a crime, be it drugs or whatever it may be, I urge you, and I tell our front desk and I tell every one of these type meetings we go to, don't hesitate. Don't try to take it into your own hands, okay? And don't hesitate. Call 911 or Sheriff's Dispatch. Is that right, Mr. Craig?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, again, I can't put my guys in that situation. I'm not gonna put myself in this situation. And I'm asking you, as citizens of Escambia County, don't put yourself in that situation, okay? So I'll touch on that in a little bit. All right, some stuff I'm really proud of at Navy Point over the last 2 years, and a lot of it much more recent than 2 years. This past, I will say, April, we completed 350 to 400 foot of sidewalk repairs, okay? Due to erosion and breakdowns and so forth. That's the walking path / sidewalks. We probably have more to do, we know that, and we're on that, but we chipped a whole lot out of the way on that 350 to 400 foot. I wanna say it's closer to 400 foot, okay? When I left the office today, I was trying to get an exact measurement, and I didn't get the exact, but it's closer to 400 foot. Just this past March, just before the public school spring break, we resurfaced the boat ramp, resurfaced and restriped the boat ramp. Our goal was to have that done before the spring break, public schools, and before the fishing season really got rocking and rolling, okay? Let's see here, continual dock repairs. Man, I wish y'all residents there only knew these boaters that come in there probably a little bit too much on the idle speed and are constantly banging up against our docks. That's time and money that we have to go repair, and we rely on the boaters and citizens in the area to let us know when they see it, because that's something that's a recurring problem. And
Well, we
frankly,
got the no wake.
we do. That's right.
Just at the last meeting, they
Yeah.
passed the no
Yeah.
wake for.
Well,
I just hope people abide
That
by
was
it.
crazy, I couldn't believe they
Yeah.
got it.
And I'm hoping people abide by it, right? Because, hey, listen, I've got kids, I've been a boater, fished there, and came in there all my life, okay? It is so scary. I saw 2 kids underneath the dock swimming with people coming in. It's again, people can't be safe enough. We can put signs up till we're absolutely blue in the face of no way, idle down, no swimming right here. It's still, kids are gonna be kids, just like people jump off that bridge still, I've seen. You know, kids being kids, I've seen it. So, right, I have a worker that says they used to sky off that bridge.
I
You
can-
were one of them, right?
Oh yeah, I can jump off that bridge now. I'm fine with that.
Melissa, come on now. I'm just messing with
He
you.
can, but he won't.
So, but in reality, we rely on the citizens to let us know. I go back to the dock repairs. We're constantly having to update signs and dock repairs there. So things we've done over the last several months, that's constant. We did some in April, and I just got notified late last week that we got some more loose boards from boats that hit it. So that's going on. This is something that's come up that last week, our project manager, TJ Williams, met somebody, can't remember if it was with engineering or he may have met Tim Day down there. The overflow parking across the street from the boat ramp, we need some work on. I know we do, okay? Coming soon, I'm looking at my notes before I left my office, we're gonna come in with some Bahamian limestone. It's not having to resurface it, it's just to come in with some limestone. But that's a Band-Aid fix for the time being to try to get us through probably this boating season in summer and fall. We're looking at options on what we can do, and I don't have that answer. That will be working with engineering, traffic, and so forth on what we can do to provide a better parking situation on that area across the street from the boat ramp. I don't know what that is yet. I don't know how that plays out, but I know that it's gonna be problematic for folks that are meeting people to go fishing and they're getting picked up per se or whatever. I don't have the answer, but what I know is it's a pretty shoddy situation there. We're trying to do something for this summer season coming up.
So the sand clay mix that was filled in right at the curb, was this a temporary?
Correct. We're looking for a long-term solution. I don't have that solution. I'm just being frank with you.
No, I appreciate
I'm not an expert on drainage or engineering. I know that there's a parking problem there for the people wanting to park in the condition that it's in. We use Bahamian limestone across the county in a ton of parking lots. We used it at Beach Access 2 and 3 forever. It's a good packable material. If people are spinning those tires, it's not great. But it is a good fix for, like, let's say, get us through this hurricane season. And then we're looking at the experts to say, what can we do? There's some good materials you can put that's very environmental friendly that we've used in other places. I'll screw this up. It's, what's it called?
Permeable.
Permeable, and we have used it at Beach Access number 4 recently. They've used it, I wanna say, at the central office complex. So it's good stuff. I'm not an engineer, but it might be something we're willing to spend the money on for long-term success there, okay? That's something, I wanna tell y'all some good news. That's something we're looking at that we've identified some work, okay? We've relocated, kind of phasing into the routine maintenance, but something we did just recently, and I cross-checked this with my field guys before I left my office. We've relocated the dog station bags to be located by trash cans. That's my fault. Let me own it for the camera. I own it, but I don't know why they weren't there to begin with. Dumb on me, right? But we've relocated the dog bag stations to be located by garbage cans because I don't have to, we pick up trash. We have a trash vendor, Keep Pensacola Beautiful, okay? I brought their service schedule down here, okay? They remove trash as scheduled in the park Mondays and Saturdays, and I helped design that, and that's because of the use and so forth. In the parks, they're Mondays and Saturdays. They're supposed to pick up the dog little things too. I'm well aware it probably hasn't happened every time. Moving those stations next to the garbage cans should make that 100% easier for that organization. That is a great organization, nonprofit organization that uses service hours for their service workers with a supervisor. Sometimes things get mixed up. It should be a lot easier to have the doggy bags by the containers, trash containers. At about 3 o'clock this afternoon, they picked up about 4 cases of the dog bags. So they have it, let's be clear, they have it, plenty of them. Several of you have probably emailed me over the last several years. If you see that the trash is not getting picked up, I would appreciate you letting me have a shot at it first and let me know so I can relay that to the trash vendor, which is Keep Pensacola Beautiful. I'm telling you right now, it's Keep Pensacola Beautiful. They're good people, but sometimes they have turnover because they were using service hours for people that are working those hours off, and something that slips through the cracks. I would appreciate if you could let me know if you see it, take a picture of it, send me an email, and let me know the location so I can relay that to the vendor. It's that easy. Then if they don't do it, you can chew my butt out, okay? But let me have a shot for them to make sure they're doing it. Okay, so that's the park, the linear park, Mondays and Saturdays. The boat ramp, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. I added that day because obviously you know it's the time. I reserve the right to add a fourth day if I want, okay? If I see that this has gotten crazy, that we need another day, I reserve the right to add another day. It's just adding a little bit more of a service.
Can you also reserve the right to possibly add a third day?
Yeah, for the
to-
park. Yeah, but I will say, over my 18 years here, I hope that's not needed if people are using the park trash cans correctly. But I do reserve the right, absolutely. If we see, hey, listen,
Shrimp holes and.
I will tell you this, sir. If people are using it correctly, amen, I'll add 2 more dang days. If you, hey, if people will use the trash cans correctly, more power to us, I'll add another day or 2, okay? What I will say is if you see trash on the ground, it's not the I know it's kinda odd, it's not the responsibility of Keep Pensacola Beautiful pick that trash up. That unfortunately falls upon my county guys to go back down there to have to pick that up. Listen, I'm not gonna read off all the specs of our contract. They have to dump the trash and they're supposed to pick up like a 10-foot radius, but I'm not trying to they're not picking up trash in the park. They're to service the trash cans. Listen, if I see that I need to add a day, it's unit pricing on our quotes. All it is for me to add another day. That would be a good problem. Melissa, you had it up for it.
Will you ask them, after one of the storms, the trash can doggy station went away on Patterson. And so for those of us that pick up there,
Yeah.
especially when we're picking up other poop and stuff, that you're a long way from a trash can or a doggy station if they,
So maybe add another can?
well, we don't have, not Gibbs.
Okay.
Patterson, there's no can there at all
Can you
anymore.
send me an email? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, send me right.
Yeah,
Send me an
and-
email. Let me say this
Because
to
we
you.
could really use another can on Gibbs as well, because
Well-
part of the problem is people are
Yeah.
a little bit better, they're not perfect about using that can, but then it spills all over after
Correct.
the big events.
And I'll say, me and Mr. Norvell, you've been on me for 2 years, and I will say we got a really good thing done. We had a ton of trash cans, brand new trash cans donated,
saw
and
that.
brand new trash cans got put at Navy Point.
Yeah,
We
they're
were,
nice.
I will take the blame that they were in bad shape, and I will own, that's why the new ones went there. So I'm taking the bad with the good.
The problem was the other cans were 3/4 full of water.
I know.
And that, but these new cans are a definite improvement.
They are.
Um,
Hey, and listen, I get part of this job is to take complaints and so forth, but what I will ask, and I've asked every organization I went to, let me have a shot to get it right. I can't control what some yahoos come do at the parks. I mean, I got sons, and it's when school gets out, I will tell y'all, point blank, when school gets out here in about 3 weeks, our vandalism and the small things, graffiti and some trash in the park, some music playing loud. It's gonna go up here in about 3 or 4 weeks for about 2 or 3 months. It's part of it, all right? But give me a chance to either handle it with internal staff, with our vendors such as Keep Pensacola Beautiful. I'll tell you another vendor, our porta potty company, Containers Inc. If you see, hey, I'm on them about doing what's right twice a week. And they'll do it. That doesn't mean the next person who comes in off the water that's had a few cocktails or that is jumping in the restroom doesn't destroy it. The good news is it's a phone call to Containers Inc. for me to say, hey, we got a problem. It's part of their job. It's part of their job is to go handle the porta potties, okay? So we try our best to communicate as much as possible with our vendors. We just ask, instead of the citizens contacting our vendors first, contact us. We have a good rapport with them, and it should be instant communication, and we try to have something like that handled within 24 hours. Because I'll get, like the porta potty vendor, it's weird. They work like late night at like 4 a.m. in the morning, you know what I mean? They service these things likely at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, kind of like dumpsters. Yes, ma'am.
Before the dog waste stations were relocated, there were 7 of them. Now there's 6, I believe. Is there a reason why there's one less?
I don't have that answer, but
Okay, gotcha.
I might try to write that down. You said there were 7 prior?
Correct.
Oh, Sally.
6
Seven.
now?
Sally is the reason it's 6 now.
No, she's saying since they moved.
Oh.
Okay.
Since they relocated it, what, a
Oh.
week ago, 5 days ago?
Okay.
Is
Um,
there a reason why there's one less?
don't have that answer, but I'm glad you,
But
I
I'm
wrote down.
that's why she was mentioning that there's a gap.
There is a big gap.
Big gap,
There is
yeah.
one.
Okay, Melissa, if you will just shoot me that email tomorrow on that look, listen, you got my word, I'm gonna look into it.
But
I didn't
not
know that,
just-
by the
But
way.
not just me, because it sounds like what you're saying is that we lost another one in addition when they got moved. Now, there were a couple of them that were really busted, so maybe they took.
I don't know anything about being busted, but I know that there's one less.
Alright, well, let me look into it. Hey, that's a good, I'm glad somebody said something, because as far as I know, there could have been 8, added one, or we could be missing 2.
And like
So
you
let me
said-
look into it. Yes, Bill?
I think my take on it is, when they were between the trash cans, there was no real count. There's more than 7 trash cans. So
There is more than 7
So
trash
there should be
cans.
more than 7 dog waste stations, is what I'm saying. We need new dog waste stations for every garbage.
Good point.
That way, we're all covered, and if they all have the little metal thing inside, nobody has to be
Well-
putting their hands inside with open bags.
Listen, I don't disagree with Melissa, I don't disagree with you, and that's great. Listen, let me take a look at it, and maybe the option is everywhere we've got a trash can, there's some dog lovers in here, right? And you know what? If there's a dog, what's the appropriate, politician way to say dog poop bags or something like that? But I need to maybe have those mounted at each trash can, and we're all good, right? Here's what I wanna say. Nobody wants to have those bags dumped in the normal trash, and that has happened before, and so I'm all for adding. I wanna help this park, believe me. And I wanna help keep Pensacola beautiful. I put them behind the 8 ball. It was a budget, but listen, we didn't have funding for a ton of new trash cans. We got new trash cans now, let's try to do it right. Okay? Yes, sir.
You said something there, like, we're here to voice concerns, but I think, speaking for me, we're also here to help you guys, you know, that's, I think it's probably pretty universal here.
Absolutely.
So it's not, I don't wanna think it's just a bitch fest. Question on the Pensacola, on the Keep It Clean,
Yeah,
are they supposed to take the can, the bag, whether there's anything in it or
yes,
not?
and I know they haven't before.
Yeah.
And so I need to
I'm
know.
going back to the shrimp holes, there's sometimes when it's a.
No, that's
can,
some of the
but
things, so I will
30
say,
feet.
Right, fly.
I will say this, and me and Mr. Novo, he let me know, and I will say, I've documented this, and I don't need to go way into it. They had a change in leadership, okay? I have addressed, part of their contract is, if the, how do I say this correctly? If the can is 50% full, you still gotta empty it. If it's 10% full, you still gotta empty, because what if that 10% is mullet heads?
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
That y'all don't care.
Good.
I don't care. I need it to be empty. It's part of the contract. It goes back to the folks in the field that may work for them. They may take a shortcut. It's not even the executive director short. It's the eyes and ears of the neighborhood. Let me know so I can say, hey, Mr. Bear over at Keep Pensacola Beautiful. Just letting you know, X garbage can, X couple garbage cans were probably 10-15% full. Might have been an oversight, but you need to really make sure you're dumping them because it was shrimp shells, shrimp heads, carcasses, or mullet heads. Somebody dumped their mullet heads there. It doesn't matter if it's 10% full. That's why we put that into place in writing in the contract. So, long-winded answer I just gave you, they're supposed to be emptying them.
Perfect, thank you.
I hope I answered it probably too much, but
No,
I fought that battle already.
thank you.
But I do need the eyes and ears. I'm the first one that knows that not everybody in every point might, listen, I love you all, okay? I'm here, I'm trying to help, I wanna help, and I've got a couple ideas I wanna throw out in front of y'all in a minute too. But go ahead.
Add to your list of putting Gibbs Point on the boat ramp schedule. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, especially coming into the summer.
Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and it works, the Monday, Saturday works pretty good, but Gibbs Point,
So-
which is the playground,
So let me say this again, just let me talk out loud and feel free to chirp in, all y'all, you don't have to raise your hands to me. But I do the boat ramp on Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays.
right,
I do the park on Mondays and Saturdays. Let me just throw this out there. I can't sit here and tell you that I can tonight commit to just going ahead and adding Wednesdays. But would it be, just hold on, Bill, would it help the overall aesthetics of this park. I gotta see if I got the money. But if I said, we're already doing the boat ramp on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, I'm doing the park, linear park overall Mondays and Saturdays. If I can swing Wednesdays, they're already there.
There's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of Blue Angel traffic on Wednesdays and.
So see, and that's the part I can't totally alter Keep Bensicle, cause they've got a job too. They've got their routes and when they can hit, you know? So, I just throw that out there.
And that's more Gibbs Point though. I think if you did Gibbs Point, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and that's, it's 3 cans that are there. But when you get people swimming at Gibbs Point, they're gonna put trash there, so it may be full by Saturday morning or Friday afternoon.
Okay, well, let me see what I can do.
I don't think, my take on the linear park as a whole,
Okay.
doesn't need to be emptied 3 times.
Fair enough. Listen, I just want people to use the trash cans. If they use the trash cans appropriately, like I said, I reserve the right to add days. I like to see full trash cans. I know y'all might not think that, but we like to see trash. That means the park's getting used and people are using the trash cans. You have no idea. There's nothing worse than a park that doesn't get used. The backside of that is you don't know how many parks I've got with ample trash cans and there's trash everywhere. Now that's discouraging, okay? I don't think this is the case here, okay? All right, if I got off sideways, I apologize, but I think it was a good conversation piece. Continual dock repairs, again, we're working on the adjacent parking lot. All right, mowing. Here's what we do mowing, and I'm just gonna be up front. We mow this park, and I cross-checked this with my guys before I left my office. We're gonna mow this park about every 3rd week. That's what our maintenance schedule allows. That's what it is. This is a neighborhood, consider this like a neighborhood park, not a ballpark. Athletic turf is a different animal, okay? It gets mowed once a week at least. But a neighborhood park such as this, as all of our parks, are getting mowed approximately every 3rd week, weather permitting. That's what it is, okay? We are not a landscaping crew, all right? This isn't manicured, perfect. This is mowing and edging and blowing in some areas, but mostly mowing and edging. I'm being very upfront, okay? This isn't a landscaping, pristine crew. This is not what this is for neighborhood parks. In this day and age in Escambia County, that is exactly what we're doing at Santa Maria Park in District 5, Evanwood in District 3, and name your other parks around the 100 that we have to handle, okay? I wanna be very clear with that, all right? We mow it with in-house crews, all right? We get assistance from inmate labor, which thank the Lord, we get the inmate labor to help us do some of this, or we would probably not be able to do it every 3 weeks, all right? Very upfront. He's not here tonight with us, but Tim Day, he is the, I'll say the czar, he is the guy that I refer to on where we can cut and where we can't cut, okay? My guys are hustling. Bill, you know this, Melissa, you know this, others over the years, it's a turnover because some of them are inmates. We are doing our absolute best to coach them up on how to mow. At the same time, they're hustling. I'm just being honest, they're hustling. Have they made mistakes in the past? We all know they've made mistakes in the past, whether or not to say we reprimand them, we try to coach them as much as we can to be careful. They've done better in the last year or two on what they're being careful means, okay? But as far as how far they can go down to the water's edge, how far they can go into a wetland area, and Jimmy Jarrett, I didn't mention Jimmy Jarrett, Tim Day, which is head of environmental, I'll say this wrong, let's just say the environmental side of the department. I work hand in hand with him. I almost talk to him daily, it seems, lately, but we talk a lot. But in regard to Navy Point, what we can and can't cut, or what we should. When it comes to trees, our county arborist is Jimmy Jarrett. For those who don't know her, Jimmy Jarrett, she'd probably be a good guest speaker one night at this meeting, frankly, to come talk and help you out, okay? She also has, I don't want to speak for her, but she has ways to get trees, okay? That through grants and her programs to add trees. Again, but my job is to maintain the park. And when I need a coaching on something to make sure we're doing it right or we're doing it wrong, my first call normally is to Tim Day and or Jimmy Jarrett. And if it gets real close to the shoreline, Robert Turpin works for Tim Day, so it's probably gonna be a call to Tim. Have we messed up at some point in the past? Probably so, about getting too close to the shoreline and so forth. But again, it's working with Tim to make sure we don't err, okay? Go ahead, because I got something else I want to say about other stuff, but about the mowing and some ideas that I have that it may be something good, because y'all said you wanted to help, so I've got a couple good ideas. Oh, they might not be good ideas, but ideas.
So really quick, Michael,
Yeah.
while we're on that subject, one of the things that I've been dreaming of for years is that you guys, whether it's Powell, whether it's the head of Public Works or Wes or whoever can, there are some crack environmentally friendly COs. I met one during the parking thing and I was just amazed. I came in the house and started crying because the guy said to me, ma'am, I'm not gonna be the one that gets in these tree roots unless the fungus get in all these tree roots and takes down the stand of trees in the park. And I'm like, you are an angel. Like, I don't think it's probably any accident that he was the one that landed on that, but if there is any way that there can be COs that when neighbors come out and go, cut that, or they themselves don't like the look of something, or they feel like the guys, they're having trouble finding stuff for the guys.
Well,
If there's any way to like environmentally connect those COs, because it doesn't matter, your people, natural resources, all of the rest, when the rubber hits the road, it's the COs who are telling the guys, like in the end, lots of times what to cut. And this will not be such a big problem when Tim gets the management program going for the park.
So a couple things on that is, I can't tell the actual inmate labor what to. I work with the, I don't wanna say warden, that's not the right, their supervisor that day, their CO over that crew. I work with them on a daily basis on their workload for the day. It's Adam Reed, myself, our department, and that's just, I have 2 or 3 crews. The road department has a crew that's probably been there at times before. Facilities, I wanna say, has one, which I don't think they do there some. But anyway, we can work with their bosses, I say their bosses, their leadership on education stuff, and we do try that. Sometimes there's a fluctuation of inmates, so that could be probably. Other thing I want to say, and me and you had talked about this a while back, several years ago. I would, and I think Bill, you would agree with this too. I think Jimmy Jarrett has some good informational signage, educational signage about about protected areas and certain species of vegetation and so forth. And she has some signage that she's put in other parks, Jones Swamp and other places, that I think would be very beneficial at Navy Point.
And we were going to get that, but leadership at the time killed
Yeah,
it.
so,
Well,
but
I think there's a little mistake here. The prisoners are not using the mowers. They're not going over roots.
no, actually, well, at our parks, listen, I would say, on our cruise, the prisoners can't be on the mower.
Right.
They're on, now, but they are on,
The
they can
train.
be on the other stuff, the blowers and edgers and so, but I can't speak for the other departments, the road department and others, but I don't put my inmates, when I say my inmates, my crews do the mowing. We had a system where our county employees were doing the mowing, and we would come behind them with inmate crews, so that it was simultaneous, but it would be more efficient, okay? But it's an educational component. I grant both of you get that. I wanted to stress a positive. I think there's an opportunity working with Jimmy and Tim on some educational signage for this thing.
Did you have some?
I apologize.
I have a question. There are some questionable areas around the bridge area that are caves for people to go in and I guess drugs and
Okay.
everything else. And it's very apparent.
Yeah, I'm aware of those.
I know.
And and Mr. Craig may not know this, but I have worked with Ronnie Rivera and some
Okay.
folks at,
The neighborhood.
here's the deal, the bridge, underneath the bridge, I don't have jurisdiction of.
Right.
And I've contacted, I'm getting off of what I'm here for, but the graffiti that's on the underneath of the bridge,
It's gone.
it is, thank you. I can't speak for that, how that happened.
This gentleman out of his own pocket.
No, Robin's showing you.
Hey, it was,
Yeah.
all right, look, thank you, I'm being, hey, all good. The Parks Department, that's not our purview. I can't get my guys up under there to handle it. I'm not naive to think, I know, I fish a lot and I put in my brother's boat. I've seen what's up under the bridge. I wish I could put my people up there and I can't. I mean, it's a little dangerous.
And I'm not really talking about under the bridge, I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about the underbrush.
I thought you were talking about under the bridge,
No,
folks
I'm
caved
talking-
up under there.
No, but there's actual bushes that you can see the cave, and they've got to be, and it's right in front of the, additional parking, right down there
Yeah.
by the water. It's very, very apparent
Okay.
that it's attracted undesirables, to
Okay.
be out of sight.
Okay, well, to let you know, I sit on
I'll send you a picture.
I sit on a monthly, Mr. Craig, you may know this, but I sit on a monthly, committee. It's called the Neighborhood Community Services Watch Group, that Mr. Ronnie Rivera runs. And we have monthly meetings about concerns. I will make sure this time of year that, listen, it's gotta be safe. But I will make sure that I let them know it's next week is my next meeting, so I'll make sure that I bring that up.
Okay, thank you.
I wanna bring up going through these notes that I had. I don't know if the gentleman's here, but I had a heads up about golf carts buzzing around in the park. So, the county ordinance, I don't wanna get in the weeds, no pun intended too much on this, but our county parks ordinance is there's no motorized vehicles in the park, okay? The fine gentlemen and women and gentlemen at Escambia County Sheriff's Department are chasing around much more serious things than golf carts cruising around Navy Point Linear Park, all right? So here's where I'm saying on this. That ordinance was put into place, here's what the research I know, is we have, like I said, 100 parks, we have ballparks across the community. That was put into place to keep people from taking ATVs and dirt bikes, from tearing up. Okay, I'll play the environmental side and I'll play the ballpark side, which is really in my wheelhouse. I don't need four-wheelers and motorcycles cutting up my sod that's getting ready for a football game or a baseball game. No more than I want golf carts, motorcycles tearing up roots of trees. It's detrimental to the park, right? And on any level it can damage. But I'm also not trying to bird dog somebody that's going to see the sunset with their kids down the road on a perfect view. I'm not gonna get really in the weeds on this. I only had one call about it, but if it gets too problematic, the county ordinance states there's no motorized vehicles in the parks. So, we'll leave it at that. We've got all bigger fish to fry than somebody going to see a sunset down on the water and driving down there. But if it gets too big of a problem and they're tearing up tree roots, or I go to ballparks and they're tearing up stuff and I see the evidence of it being a problem, we're gonna have to address it. And I'm gonna be addressing it with law enforcement, because keep in mind, I'm not the enforcement agency, and it's probably after work hours anyway that's happening. But be cognizant of this. I have had a call, probably only one gentleman, super nice guy, had his name in my office. I'm not trying to bird dog like that. The rule was put into place for people cutting donuts on baseball fields and people cutting donuts at parks. Because the other thing that happened in a motorcycle, they throw up a rock, hit somebody in the eye, and I got a problem. You see what I'm saying? So, again, I'm not gonna go down on the slippery slope here, but I'm gonna ask the law enforcement to enforce. I think y'all have a lot better things to challenge you right now.
But what we respond to is what we're called about.
That's right.
So if people call, they want us to come and, we'll definitely respond to it.
It only will take one bad problem for everybody to be affected when there's 10 people doing it right and one doing it wrong, that old adage. So I'm urging I don't know the right words to use here, but it's put in for a place for safety and damage control parks. Again, I got a call, so I figured I would mention to you guys that are kind of the gatekeepers of the neighborhood. Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Craig can correct me if there's been a change, but what we've heard at these meetings and what I've understood from deputies and the sheriff's department is if you call on a golf cart, if you call on parking for the street, you're gonna go straight to the bottom of that list. And yes, if they do have time from scraping bodies up on the street and dealing with, drug dealers and really bad gun violence, they'll come out, and thankfully, Anderson is through a couple of times a day, so it's not as if we don't have police presence out there, but am I right, that if you, just because you call and say there's a golf cart in the park, it doesn't mean the sheriff's
Right.
department is gonna respond to that?
True, and it's never, nothing's 100%, but if it's certainly if it's a safety violation, that's gonna kick it up a little bit. So it's what you articulate, but there are keywords that we always tell people to use when they call us. And one of them is, I'm a member of the Navy Point Neighborhood Watch. You wanna say that. Then you wanna say, send a deputy. If you call the police in Florida and you say send them, they are supposed to come, okay? Now they have to triage all the calls, but if you say, I'm a member of the Navy Point Neighborhood Watch, send a deputy, there's a motorcycle tearing up the park or a golf cart, damaging things, and I want contact by phone. You've done everything you can possibly do to make it highly likely that we'll respond as soon as we can, that it'll be up higher in the triage tree. Okay, so it's what you say, how busy we are at the time. But if you say send a deputy, we're gonna probably respond sooner or later. We're not gonna bolo it. Send a deputy is pretty much a required response. It may be a delayed response based on triage.
So
And then if you're unhappy with the response, we recommend that you call, wait an hour if you think nothing happened. Call, but if you didn't get a call back, if you asked for contact, you should get a call.
So your suggestion then, if somebody's upset about a golf cart in the park, is to call and do everything possible to pull a deputy out into the park to kick the golf cart out of the park? Is that what?
What I'm saying is if it's a safety violation or some kind of threat to the park's environment, if it's tearing up the sod or it's a danger, that's the kind of thing we prefer people call about. Because we are going from call to call to call all day long. And I can guarantee you, if we go there and, we're talking to the people with the cart and there's an armed robbery, we're leaving, okay? So we won't necessarily even be able to follow through. But we make an effort to respond to every call. But depending upon what you articulate, that's where it is on the triage tree. And, if it's a safety issue or a damage to the park issue, it's a lot more serious than just, as you stated it, there's a golf cart in the park, okay? Golf cart should be doing something. It's like we get a call and there's a black man on the street, okay? We're not coming. That's not an offense. It's legal to be black and be on the street, all right? But we occasionally get calls like that. But if we got a call that there is a Hispanic man who is running around screaming crazy things and banging on the roofs of cars, well then we're gonna come out, okay? He's still in the street, but if they're doing something that's criminal. So, it's what you articulate.
Question over here. Hey, Mike, for you real quick, you
Yes, sir.
mentioned the sidewalks in Linear Park. You said there's other things you're gonna be working on. I just wanna make sure that on your radar is the southeast corner of Navy Point. There's a point there, and the sidewalks seem to be flooding quite a bit.
Say southeast where?
It's the very southeast corner of Navy Point. It's off Bogwitz. A couple pine trees are dying.
Okay.
But the sidewalk was moved years ago because there's
Okay.
half a sidewalk there.
Well,
And
it's
the other
accessible.
one still floods frequently.
Okay.
And so what people do is they get off the water and they go through the park. So I think maybe rerouting that a little higher might be something for your.
Well, let's take a look at it. Southeast corner, I got it.
He's talking about Patterson, I think.
You're talking about Patterson.
Patterson Point, I don't really know.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. All right, so here's a thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is, I'm not gonna say this has been contentious or, divisive, but here I wanna put my point on it, and I've spoken to Tim Day, again, a couple times, last few days, again today, and I let him know the message I was gonna deliver on this. So, here's where we're at. Residents don't need to be mowing or using their equipment on our property, on county parks property, okay? I know that it's probably been done,
Nicest areas in the park.
approved or not approved, okay? The bottom line is it's a risk liability problem for the county, okay? I could give examples that I thought about. It could be that you're using a weed eater and you trim something and hits a kid in the eye with a rock. Could even be your own kid, but I might have a problem with it later, okay? It's where we're at in today's sue happy world that I can't put the county in this situation. That's a county owned park, okay? I'm asking you to please refrain from using your own equipment to provide volunteer maintenance on this. It's not that I wouldn't love you to do it at times. I would beg you to help me, okay? That's what I want it to be heard. Here's point two, and this is where my idea comes in, that I've done at other parks. If you guys, as a group, individuals, groups, want to organize volunteer work days that we look at and you tell us what your plans are, Tim Day and I have discussed, we do this all the time at other parks, at ballparks, at said park, with marine groups, with volunteer neighborhood groups. Hell, we've even supplied bags and rakes in the appropriate help equipment. We can help, if it's during a weekday, we can actually help supply some of the labor. And we can tag team it to do what's right for the neighborhood, okay? As long as I can vet and Tim Day can vet to say, here's what is gonna be done, so that it's not this neighbor doing something in front of his house, this neighbor doing something in front of his house, and this neighbor doing something in front of his house, and everybody's chirping at one another. Doesn't work that way, and it can't work that way. And it's not gonna work that way, because I went to my higher ups and it ain't gonna work that way, okay? Now, I hate to be that guy, but it's a liability concern for my higher ups when that's the situation, because I could give countless examples is if you get, and I know it's a use at your own risk, but if you get hurt, you hurt somebody, the way the world seems to work these days, you're coming after the government and it's just not gonna happen. So I'm gonna cover the department and say on record that I'm telling you, don't do it. But if you ask and you come about it the right way and organize it through volunteer group, there's a great chance that I'm gonna help you, but we're gonna vet what's being done. We're gonna make sure we're not cutting anything that's not supposed to be cut. We may even help you vet it with Jimmy Jarrett, our county arborist, that can help mark what can be trimmed. Okay, we have an engineering group that can help out. And I might, if it's during the county work week, might supply assistance and labor for you. Okay? Now I can't work, it's weird, I can't work inmate crews around youth. Can't do it. But if it's adults and they're helping out, I'm gonna give an example. It may not be a Navy point, but if the adults are raking, I've got inmate crews that can be hauling away stuff. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that's the case at Navy Point, but at ballparks, for instance, if volunteer groups, if we're delivering clay for baseball diamonds, you got volunteers spreading. So I'm saying there's some tag team approaches that if you guys are wanting to, but what I can't have happen is this neighbor doing this in front of his house because it's on county property, this and this. Can't happen. I've asked the folks higher than me, and that's just the way it's gonna be. I'm wanting to help the whole neighborhood, and if you get together, and I know there's some fractions, I get all that, but if you get together and you bring it to our attention, there's a great chance, as long as it's vetted the right way, vetted as in through the proper channels, great chance if it's okay, I want the park to look better, okay? So, again, it goes back to liability and so forth, and again, equipment and that stuff, and talking. So again, I wanna help, so I tried to think outside the box of how can I help? And one way that I can help is I mean, Pat Page, you and, y'all have done things for the community at different fractions, but at least y'all come asking for the permission, and 9 times out of 10, we have helped, and tried, or at least we've tried to help. And I do have manpower that I can try to help with, if done the proper way. Yes, ma'am,
The mile markers that are along, is that under your just?
I can help you there.
Okay.
They need to be refreshed?
Yes.
Fair enough.
That would be
You
nice.
running them?
Am I running them? Yes.
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 Yes, she is.
Yeah.
I see them every morning.
No, I have walking tracks. That happens to be a way long one. But we have walking tracks across the community, and normally I put, and shame on me for not having it there or refreshed, normally we have a start line, so people that are trying to do a timed mile or something, they know the distance they're going. So if you will get with me, I can, yeah, I do signage for distances at all our tracks, and I know that in the track, but I can help there.
Okay, just be cleaned off and the numbers to put in black again,
Okay,
right? Is that we're on the same page?
Yeah.
I can help you there.
Gotcha.
And
Thank
that's
you.
an easy one.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
So while we're on the subject of running and mile markers, and I'm sorry, I didn't even think to give you a heads up, cause I had forgotten it, cause it's like fallen off my radar. If it's at all possible, we would still so much love that water fountain and the doggy watering station, like across the street from our house or somewhere in that really hot expanse. That is such a dangerous
So
overheating.
are you saying doggy fountain or water
Well,
fountain?
you remember like what we talked about, but it's been years, Michael,
So
because
it-
COVID came.
So I gotta tell y'all,
Yeah,
I'm not, water fountains and parks are going away.
are they?
I'm not saying for dogs, I'm
Okay.
saying for human consumption. I have faced so much vandalism with that, with kids beating them down. But then when COVID hit, it became the health and hygiene issue
Sure.
of it. I'm not saying no to dogs though.
Well,
I
you
gotta
know,
think about how that could possibly be.
I can't really, I'm guessing it's probably been 24 times over 10 years that we have brought water over for
Yeah.
people and dogs in that expanse, because what happens is they get started off and they don't realize you gotta go back and it's 100 degrees and it's hotter and hotter every year. And we've told people, if you're in trouble or your dogs are in trouble, come over and use our hoses, you've got our permission, but people are uncomfortable doing that, so they don't really do it. And
So honestly, COVID kind of brought it all to
that
fruition.
makes sense.
But the people, the water fountains, they were getting vandalized a lot. And in that salt air environment there, it was even more. But even at ballparks and places you would think water fountains would be a problem, they get dirt in them, they get clogged up, people do weird things, and it just doesn't work. And then the vandalism of actually people beating them. But then COVID hit and it became, we're shutting all the water down at the, but I'm talking about humans things. So what a lot of the parks have done that have volunteers, they're actually doing it like golf courses, where they're getting the igloo coolers and creating water stations. And actually, but then that takes manpower to,
Can you remove them then, Michael, if you guys don't ever plan on hooking the fountains back
Yes,
up?
we
Can you
can.
get rid of it? Cause then it just looks
I
like
don't
something
envision
broken.
human water fountains coming back to that park
Right.
because of the,
Because,
I mean, it's pretty sketchy on the health thing. I don't know how that lasted that long, actually.
I think you had a question back.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just on to say, I noticed some of the homeowners that have homes near the water on the trail, they're cutting back the brush. They're making areas where they can fish, they're swimming, and there's a lot of that going on around the trail.
Okay.
Some of this cutback so far that the brush is not gonna go back.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was trying
And
to,
that's not coming from the inmates, this is coming from homeowners, I've seen several.
so that's
out there
why I
cutting.
said what I said, is, listen, I'm not gonna harp on the past. I can't control
Yeah.
the past.
But they're doing it now, this summer, and I've seen it.
Well, what I'm saying, and appreciate it, and if you could tell me the location, I will work with Mr. Day and my own staff. What I'm asking is to refrain, if it's individuals doing it, let me work with you, and I will do everything I can to keep your area clean and what's right with Mr. Day and Turpin and everybody else. I will do our best, but if, I can't condone that. And I know, listen, nobody's right or wrong for wanting it mowed closer. I'm not blaming some that don't ever want it touched. I'm not blaming some that want it clean. It doesn't matter how you sit. I get it. my job is, from a liability standpoint, that is a county-owned facility, and I gotta be real careful. Residents need to be real careful of doing that, because at some level, if somebody gets hurt, it's a problem.
So Michael, say for instance hypothetically, a Waterview owner had wrapped a pine tree in a bunch of metal so that the squirrels that are trying to get to their bird feeders that they have attached to a shoreline pine can't get up, and they've pulled so much stuff away from the shoreline that the embankment actually fell in, and so now they have sandbagged underneath the embankment. Who is that? Is that you guys?
You
or
can
is
call
that
me and I'll
Tim?
get it to the right department. It's
But I
probably
wanna
Tim.
it's probably Tim, right?
It probably is Tim.
It's hard to know where the
Or,
park
or,
stops and where the,
or Jimmy Jarrett.
I don't want anybody to get in trouble. I never wanted anybody to get fined or
No, I
get
get it.
talking to or anything, but it does need
In
to
reality,
stop and it
in
does need to go
reality,
away.
in reality, Jimmy Jarrett's the county arborist. And if it's tree pertaining specifically to trees, I would hate to make a call. We need to get her. And I actually think she would be a good guest speaker, and I can tag team. I'll be happy to come back. I gotta tell you, I was a little nervous coming here tonight, but I will tell you, this has been a good group. This is a good group.
You haven't left alive yet.
And we're,
Hey, I've talked for an hour, I'm
Yeah, we're
good.
just
Hey,
about
no,
done.
but seriously, I think a good tag team approach really would be to bring the county arborist, or me and Tim can come. Tim's a good dude. And
All
Tim,
y'all.
and Tim would be a good tag team approach to talk about, I mean, listen, I love trees, but actually I don't wanna step on anybody's toes with, what I mean, step on above my expertise with Jimmy Jarrett. That's her expertise. And, you know, it might be a good, and hey, she has an office, her office is in our building now, so I see her daily. So that's why when I need cross-check on something, it's real easy now, because she shares an office at our building, so, I would defer to her that, but I'm gonna tell her that when I'm having coffee in the morning and I'm
Oh,
in
she's
my
gonna
office.
love it.
okay.
I didn't mean to go long-winded,
That's
I
all right.
apologize, I probably took up y'all's whole hour.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay,
No, you're
Mike.
okay.
We're glad you came.
But I really would be happy to come back to this group, honestly. I know that, listen, I live in a neighborhood that everybody don't see eye to eye either, but I wanna help y'all. We've put some serious resources in Navy Point, you know that, y'all know that, we've put some serious time and effort. It's a big old park now, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a challenge because it's a little over 2 miles of linear park, it's not like your general neighborhood park. It's
But
just
it
not.
didn't get sold, Michael. It didn't get sold.
Thank you. We are just about out of time.
Hey, I didn't mean to take the whole
No,
meeting.
It's all right.
That's fine.
We appreciate it. That's why we invited you. I'm just gonna touch real fast, try and make it a minute or less, some points here.
Can I say one more thing
Go ahead.
before I have to
Go ahead.
I know most of y'all probably have my email address. A couple of those things and pictures, feel free, because if there's trash cans that haven't been dumped, if there's something you see, pictures are worth 1,000 words, I think that's what they say, and let me know where it's at, because you know, Pat, if I'm not responsive, I'm pretty quick.
Pretty darn
I'm pretty
responsive.
quick about it.
Yeah.
And I can get to the right person.
I do have one thing.
Good.
We used to, Tina and I walked around the neighborhood, we used to have a bulletin board thing over in the playground. It was like a cork board.
It was rotted out, we took it out. I was asked to
You
take
think
it
we
out.
could put it over there?
Yeah, absolutely, like not a marquee, we used to have a cork board.
Yeah.
We actually thought it was
Behind glass.
ECUA's at one point, but it was
Okay.
rotted out. It
Okay.
really was rotted. We just took that down probably in the last month.
Yeah, I saw
Cause
it.
it was actually, it was damaged pretty bad.
Well, it wasn't usable anymore, but I
We-
was thinking maybe we could, Sally probably took it out and damaged it, and it's just been sitting rotting there.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a helpful thing to beautify the park, and then just put out public notices of when
And again,
our meetings.
So in closing, and I'll go, seriously, didn't try to bust anybody's rear end about being on our property. But if y'all wanna organize a volunteer group, hey, we also have some pretty good connections to the Marine Corps and the Navy volunteers that are dying to not do personal training at 0500 in the morning, would come out and assist and work along with volunteer groups, whether or not it's, environmental stuff, an environmental day, or if it just, if not, I'm gonna try to get them to do our boat ramp stuff. But again, we have avenues for volunteerism that can make this work.
Okay.
And they love, and that's close to Navy Point, getting folks from the Navy base as well.
Now I am giving you a hard cut.
Thank y'all. Hey, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael, good to meet you. I just wanted to point out, it's after 7 o'clock, but, we didn't get to old business or new business. But an idea I had of, and I just wanted to run it by you guys, is if you look at your agenda, on the back of the agenda, I just put a calendar down. And I was talking to Tina about this, and it's the month of June on there. And what I'm trying to do is, not only for Neighborhood Watch, like, I really like the Christmas parade that we have every year, that Pat dedicates herself to, and other things that we have on an annual basis. And what I was thinking was, I don't mind if Tina and I just kind of put a calendar, upcoming calendar of events. I would like to know when,
The meet and greet.
when the meet and greets are, when the food trucks are, when Councilman Kohler is gonna have a town hall somewhere, not even necessarily in Navy Point, where the Sheriff's Academy are doing things, if we wanna get more involved, just all the different things. Or, I don't even mind, like, garage sale weekends, or just personal things, like, hey, Jerry, can we put this on the calendar? I mean, as long as it's appropriate, I think it's okay if we go outside the parameters of just Neighborhood Watch, we certainly did tonight. But, I would just like all the neighborhood to know about all these things, because I'm kind of finding out about them all. I mean, I have to be forward leaning to find them out, but I think more neighbors want to get involved if they know what's going on. So, David.
Yeah, great idea. Can I recommend that you do the next 3 months, so we can plan out a couple months?
Okay.
What's going last, if you put the next 3 months, we could add that. And as far as the calendar thing goes, for everybody in here, the church right outside of Navy Point has the sunset run, this Saturday. So if anybody wants to go run or participate or just see, the course goes around Navy Point. It's a fabulous event, and I know hopefully you're gonna be there, but it's a very positive thing for the community. So Saturday night, I think it starts at 6:30 and runs around the neighborhood.
Excellent, excellent. Which church is it, you know?
St. John's Catholic.
Okay, very good. And any last things? I'll just go out in the parking lot. I'm gonna call tomorrow the sheriff's department to have narcotics come.
So it wouldn't be a call. What you do is you go to a request to speaker form, right?
Okay.
And you click on it, and then you
Yeah.
see options like the drop-down list, and you check narcotics,
Perfect.
okay?
Simple.
You fill out the form, you click submit, and that's how you can get any one of more than 20 people to come here doing different things.
Okay.
So, but that's how we want you to do it, and I'll show
Got
you
it.
where it is after the meeting,
Okay.
okay?
Sherry, I would suggest that if you do this calendar, which I think is great, because it's, communication is the key to everything.
Right.
Maybe you could put your email address or something so that there, or maybe Tina, I don't know who would be the point person to, like, we're gonna have a meet and greet, and
Right.
what day it is, and what time it is.
Okay.
That might help.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Let me talk it over with Tina and see if we wanna put it out.
Yeah, I get that too.
Okay, any last comments? We're well after 7 o'clock. Okay,
I just wanted to ask, how's this speeding test, you know, it's supposed to have taken place? And on Sunset and.
The speeding thing, so you can follow up with that with Daniel Wilson or traffic. We just put in the report to them, and then they have all the info on it. I can ask them and then let you know next time.
Yeah.
But we funnel, so much stuff funnels through us and then goes to other people who are supposed to handle it. So it's kind of hard to keep track of all the individual stuff, but we can get you an answer next time about what
I
we're
move
doing.
that we adjourn.
That'd be perfect.
second to adjourn the meeting? Everyone got it? Okay, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Please grab some pizza if you guys would like. Take the rest of the pie home if you'd like.
Jared?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Anything?
It's good to see you. Thank you. What was your name? Walter. Walter.
Yeah, yeah. So I rent right now over
Cheese or pepperoni? Pepperoni. pepperoni?
Well,
Pepperoni?
Yes.
we don't wanna buy, but something that can go through 4 point, something that is
Hail sign. Yeah. You good? Yes, I'm coming.
Oh, thanks for the pizza.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for coming, Kevin.
You can, but it's kind of hard to spot. You're gonna have to report on it. You have to
She found Hale's sign.
See, and I grew up in, okay,
So awesome.
in
You look
Des.
better every time I see you.
Thank
really
you.
do.
It's the sun, all the fishing I've been
seeing you
able to
guys.
do.
You did
Yeah.
take a page out of your book.
Grew up in Indiana. I grew up in